Hi everyone, I'm Shanae George. I'm a psychotherapist. Thank you for joining me in today's episode. If you are new here, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video with anyone who you know needs to hear these conversations. If you're looking for a therapist or you want to join my community, I will leave everything in the description bar. Thank you for joining me and my community in making wellness a daily practice. Let's get straight into the episode. Thank you for coming today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
What made you want to do today's interview?
A couple of things. I'd say I saw Femi's interview, Femi Oyeniran, long-time friend of mine from kidulthood. I really liked it and I learned some new things about him. I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then I clicked on the link and I was like, oh, what's going on here? I realized you'd sent a message to me like a year ago or something like that, right? And I was like, okay, mental health. I'm not someone that naturally talks about, I'm someone that more focuses on my work and I talk about life through that lens. But I thought, oh, you know what? I'm in a space where I'm interested in sharing more. I had a lot happen in my life over the last year and a half, a lot of passing of different people, my family members. And so for me, I was like, you know what? I want to give an interview that's interesting, has more of a personal feel to my perspective on life. And yeah.
Well, thank you. It's kind of like a full circle moment because I have been trying to get in contact with you. So
Okay.
I appreciate you being here today.
Thank you for having me, man.
Age 6, you told your dad that you wanted to become an actor. What made you want to pursue that career in particular?
What made me want to pursue the career of acting? I would say, there's a couple of things actually. I've answered this question 1,000 times and I said, what's a new way of answering it? And actually having the question prior made me think about the fact that I'm in my mum and dad's apartment or flat in Hackney. This is me at 2, 3 years old. I'm watching Pavarotti, the singer. And at this point, it's just me and my mum. My younger brother, Mikhail's not born yet. And I used to sing Pavarotti to my mum, like, da, 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 da. And I saw the effect that would have on her, like how much it lit her up. And we used to sing it together, like, you know, oh, da, da, da. And I think even before what I would usually say, which is like Home Alone, and I watched a lot of movies with my mum, that moment, as I remember it now, I was like, oh man, my child self would have gone, this woman is reacting this way. This woman I love is reacting this way. This is a good thing to do, you know? So I think it was that kind of bond between me and my mother, Marva Sherman. And then, you know, my mum's a massive connoisseur of films, like, you know, and I'm a connoisseur of movies. I grew up on like a lot of 1940s classics. Like the popular ones would be like It's a Wonderful Life or Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. You know, actors like Jimmy Stewart, James Cagney, musical actors like Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. So I have that as the backdrop to my life as someone that was interested in cinema from very young. And so those were kind of the beginnings of it. And by the time I'm 6 years old, having the type of father I have, AMEEN AMEEN, who's just he looks at his children, he's like, who are they? Wow. And what can they become based on who they are? And he nurtured that talent. And I always say for me, you know, I got cinema from my mother, and I would have gotten my confidence and that kind of go-getting attitude from my father. So that combination. So by the time I'm 6, I'm like, I want to be an actor. My dad's like, you know, you sure, son? I'm like, yeah, I want to be an actor. You sure? Because I'm going to pay for the school fees. And, you know, that's a joke I always say. So yeah, I went to Barbara Speake Stage School from 6 till 16. And, you know, listen, by the time I'm 11 years old, I'm performing with Michael Jackson.
Wow.
You know, at the Brit Awards 1996, and I'm at the London Palladium in Oliver as a child actor and performer, or playing Sammy Davis Jr. at the Victoria Palace. So, you know, I've had this has been my life. I'm 38 years old now, and this has been my life, truly. I mean, truly, you know, I've been doing this since I was 6 years old professionally.
I love that, and it sounds
Yeah.
like you've got a very great relationship with your parents, because we don't really hear that much in the black community, where you tell your parents you want to do something in the media industry and they support you with that. So it sounds like that really shaped your beginning of your career in getting into acting and performing arts.
Yeah, I have a very supportive family. We've gone, you know, like all families, you go through your peaks and troughs, but definitely in my earlier life, extremely supportive. There for me, like on some, you know, like go, ride out, go and get your dreams, you know. So yeah, I think, yeah, I realize how blessed I am in that way, because a lot of people don't have that background story. But I do in that sense, yeah.
I love that. And you got into the world of acting or performing quite early on. Was there any other jobs before that, or was it straight into acting and you just continued in that journey?
No, the only literally I've only acted my entire life. The only thing
wow.
I had a job called I used to work at this place called the Loan Processing Center in High Barnet for like 4 or 5 months. You know, but I was like one of them rappers. You know, them rappers that they just sit there like they're writing the lyrics. I was writing like poetry about getting out of here. Like, you know what I mean?
Okay.
But I was still in college.
Yeah.
And so by the time I finished that, I did that for 5 months, and then I went on tour with something called Slam Dunk. It was a play, and I was like like an extra, or what they call it, a swing or whatever. You'd go understudy. You'd go an understudy for people. I understudied for this actor called Richie Campbell and all that. I just went on tour. So from that, it was just kind of done.
So at age 6, you literally got straight into the career.
Yes.
Very blessed and very fortunate to do that, because
Yes.
not many people find it as easy to get into the acting career. Would you say that?
Yes, I'm blessed. I've worked fucking hard my entire life. You know what I mean? I don't know where you're starting in that question, but if you're talking about to encapsulate my life and my career, I've had to work. I think I embody that. Luck is when preparation meets opportunity, and I build opportunities in my life. You know, I don't wait for the yes of people. And as an actor, that's fundamentally what you have to do until you reach a position of influence. And even then, even if you're an A-list, you're competing on a list. That's why a lot of A-list or whoever build their own projects. It's what I respect so much about Femi and him building his projects, or what other people have done in the history of, you know, even myself with Boxing Day. You know, I've always wanted to play roles that do a film that encapsulates my family and love and black people in England and all that stuff, but we never really had it. You know, we never had it. My film was like the first black British rom-com, and after that came Riley Lane and all that, or Ry Lane, and so I've create opportunities. So I'm very careful with the words like bless. You know, I'm a person that does believe in God. You know, I've come to that feeling, but I'm careful with it just being like a luck thing, because it's not. You know, I really grind and try and diversify, and I'm always thinking ahead. And you know, my life is also about planning my death. You know, in life, if you attack that notion that we will go, I think you live much more boldly. And life has definitely taught me that that's such an important thing to do, you know.
I love that. And being so young, I always refer back to you being so young at age 6. What was that like mentally to get into the world of acting and kind of going on tour, working with Michael Jackson?
Well, the Michael Jackson moment, I remember sitting down there and in this massive kind of audition with like hundreds and hundreds of people. And I was just praying to God. I said, God, man, if you give me this, I'll never ask for anything again. Please, please, please. I think what happens with a young person in that moment, you understand responsibility very early. You understand the negotiation of people's personalities. You have to listen really attentively to whoever's in a position of power to get what you want from them, or to give them what they want so you can get what you want, which is getting the job. So I think that builds into you early the sense of competition, builds into you very early the sense of you know, pride in your life on achievement, being goal-oriented and getting things like winning. You know, that becomes really important to you when you're a child. I think specifically because you're a child, because it's like, when you win, you're rewarded, you're loved. when you lose, you're not rewarded, and it feels like you're not loved. Do you get what I'm saying? So I think just me looking back on it for a second, I probably associated my success as a kid. So let's say like 6 to 17, 18, 19, you know, with like success equals love. You know what I mean? I was a very successful kid, like, you know, very popular kid. In my family life, like, we grew up pretty good. Like, you know, my dad was a businessman, entrepreneur, had businesses in Hackney, restaurants, ran a community college, like, formidable individual. But, you know, like in any life, things go up and down financially and all the rest of it. And there was a moment in my particular existence where we went from living in our beautiful big house. You know, we went for flats in Hackney, beautiful big house, and then had to go back to flats. Okay. And that up and downness of my world was very disruptive to me internally. And it gave me the sense of, oh, I need to make sure that I am successful as well as an individual. And that's by the time you're like 12, 13, I need to make sure. I remember my dad hates me telling the story, but I'll say anyway, like, we lived on the top of a ship shop for a year. And again, going from having a nice big house to living in a shop, and I hated it. I loathed it with all my heart. I fucking hated it. I was like, you know, I was embarrassed. I never let my friends come around there. In fact, I used to go to a school called Barbara Street Stage School. It's a private stage school that my father and mother sent me to. And I was there for years. I was the popular kid. I'm a popular kid in school. I somehow was like the head boy, and I was naughty. I was the head boy. My friend Ben Ram was like the smartest kid, but I was the most popular. And, you know, I was performing, and, you know, on school we did big plays and yada yada. And there's a girl, she probably doesn't even know this story. I'm gonna name her. She doesn't even, she's just like a moment in my story, like a Sims character. A girl called Daisy Smithers. Daisy Smithers, in my last year of school, goes from a school she was living at in Mill Hill to my school, right? And I was like, she was like, oh, Daisy lives in Mill Hill. Daisy lives in Mill Hill. And I'm like, everyone's like, Daisy lives in Mill Hill. And I was like, Daisy lives in Mill Hill. Okay. And she's like, oh, I live in Mill Hill, man. You know, I'm the popular guy. Let's go home together. Okay. I'm thinking, fuck me, no, I'm not going home with you. You're gonna know that I live on top of the fish and chip shop.
Yeah.
And so I went the other way. I went through Acton Town, all the way then, getting the tube, like the overground to get the tube, and to avoid Daisy Smithers, because Daisy Smithers lived up on the hill. Okay. One day I come down now out of my thing, I see out of the fish and chip shop, I see Daisy Smithers. She's like, Mel, wait, what's that? What? Do you live up there? And I'm having an absolute stakeout. I'm like, oh, yeah. I'm having an absolute stizzbig. And then I go back to school, and I'm like, she's like, and Mel lives on top of my fish and chip shop, and I have the most embarrassing moment. You have to remember, I'm Don Corleone in the school. Yeah. It's me. It's Vito. And then no, all of a sudden, fish and chip shop guy. So these moments, and we didn't stay there. And just for the record, you should put this in. My dad also had other houses. He's a very smart man, businesses, and so you have to do what you have to do. You know what I mean? Yeah. But no, for real, you know, it's those things define you. You know. I would have called that year or two, you know, even if it sounds comedic, the worst years of my life up until like past couple of years where I had a couple of real life family issues. You know, define me. It gave me that fire in my belly to go, one, I need consistency in my life financially. That's one. I need to make as much money as possible. My parents' money is their money. My money is my money. Do you get what I'm saying? So these things give you an old head on your shoulders, you know.
From a young age.
From a very young age, you know. And by the time I'm 19, I'm a property owner, and I mean, you know, 19, 20, a kid out at the bill, you know, I'm start buying property and stuff like that. And, you know, by the time I'm 23, I moved to America.
What made you move to LA, America?
LA, yeah. When I was 11 years old, I went up to my mother crying, and I said, Mum, how am I going to make it as an actor when I sound like Shakespeare? Okay. So I knew I was going from 11. I was like, I'm out of here. By the time I'm 16, I'm looking at brochures to go study in college in Brooklyn. I was always gone, always gone. I was never here.
Was always there.
You know, I think for a lot of people, there's this idea of, you know, the opportunities in England and what England did and wasn't doing. I was very successful in England. You know, 19, 20 years old. I'm in a cult classic movie at the cinemas, March 6, 2006. And January 11th, I'm on the bill. And I'm in that show. And then I'm in the bill for 2 years. And I decided, I always knew when I went into the bill, I'm going to stay there for 2 years, make an impact, and then leave. You know, I've always been a person with a plan, you know.
I love that.
So in the bill, I was like, all right, I'm going to disrupt this place as much as possible for 2 years, and then I'm going to go. And I remember there's a guy called Cyril, older actor, great guy, and he would always go, and now, let me ask you a question. Why are you always writing your script, you know? Because in the bill, people are learning their lines on the fly. But I'm like, nah, like, all right, I want Lewis to run like Will Smith in Independence Day or Bad Boys. All right, cool. Or Tom Cruise. I'm gonna take this excerpt here. Like, I was always trying to plan things for the audience so people have a connection. You know what I'm saying? I was defying like the studio heads at the time. They were like, it's the scripted to say, Lewis, and Lewis goes, yeah, here's a beer, mate. Oh, thanks, mate. And I'm like, we're black, we're not saying mate back then. You know what I mean? Like that. Not young people. Or like, you know, they bring me to the office. Mel, you're giving this little bop when you're walking. And I'm like, yeah. Do you mind not doing the bop? I'm like, I'm doing the bop. And they're like, what do you mean you're doing the bop? I'm gonna do the bop. Why are you gonna do the bop? Well, us as black people, we like to define ourselves, especially when we're the minority. You know, a young black boy from the streets, and he's trying to hold on to his identity, but he's gone into an establishment. He's gonna wanna define himself, he's gonna wanna rebel. So all of these things, you know, I've done throughout my career, you know, to be the custodian of the black experience, the black male experience, you know. Obviously I don't represent all black males, you know, we're all diverse, but black people have been very important to me throughout my entire career. The decisions I've made in my career, in my life, and the way I want to represent us, I've always had black British people specifically in my heart when I'm moving through my life. Like, well, how would we, you know, how are they going to feel about this? How are they going to feel about that? You know, to make sure that my uncles, my aunties, that, you know, I remember going to Jamaica one time, going to my grandma's house, and there's her neighbor, old man, and my grandma's like, yeah, imak, and he's like, yeah, yak, and I was like, yeah, yak. He said, you know, Denzel Washington, the best black man in the world to me. I said, why? No, man, the man made me just feel pride, you know, best black man in the world, and that is such a beautiful thing. Like, the man makes me feel pride. You know, so that's how I've run my career. I think we've gone around the houses, but
yeah, no, thank you, and I love the fact that you know, appreciate and you always represent your culture and your people, and you want to leave that legacy for the next person. When it comes to acting, how do you mentally prepare for the different roles that you play?
I got that question. I thought it was an amazing question from you. Really good. How do you mentally prepare? And I think another part of your question was like, you know, how do you mentally get out of it? Or are there any consequences? I think there's great consequences to being an actor, or at least the type of actor that I am. You know, I'm an actor that pursues the truth unwaveringly to try and figure out who this person is, and I try and get as close to that person as possible while I'm filming. So I always say to myself, if people are on set with me, they might have a different experience of a Mel depending on what character I'm playing. So if I'm playing Martin Luther King, you're definitely getting one version. I did a show called The Porter, and the man was a guy that was like wrestling with, do I want to be this kind of porter, or do I want to be this gangster? Do you get what I'm saying? Yardi with Idris Elba, again, I'm also a methody leaning actor, so it's often if I feel like I need to, I'll stay in the voice, I'll stay in the energy of the person. And I think, I'll tell you a story, and it's a British audience, so I'll tell this story first. When I did Kidulthood, you know, I didn't really, she smiled, hey, Kidulthood. Trevor, I cried when you died. Always.
Well,
I cried when you
thinking as
died.
well. Why did you have to go so
Why did you
early?
die? But when I did kidulthood, like I trained as more of a stage performer, musical, tap, ballet, jazz, all of that, So when I actually came to honing my skills as an actor, a lot of it was on the job. Shout out to Sharon Harris, by the way. I went to that drama school for a little bit, like an after school thing. But when I did kidulthood, I was like, okay, what's going to be my process here to get into character? And I remember playing the Marshall Mathers LP. Remember the Marshall Mathers LP, bro? Age mates, But there was that song, Kim. You remember that Kim song? That song's a mad song, I sat down and listened to Kim in my mum's house, in my bedroom, for a day. Because the next day I was doing the scene where Trevor scars up the...
Oh, wow.
And so I did that for a day, and then the next day, I listened to it before I went in, was in that energy, and you're just in that energy. And it has an effect on you, you know what I mean?
It must do, all of that from what you're listening to and
you're using it. That's back when I didn't, I was more inserting things into my spirit to play it rather than just using my imagination, right?
Okay.
So, but using my imagination at the same time. Anyway, so you do that, and I'm like, I remember that as a distinctive memory. Go, wow. I remember doing these plays with Roy Williams and Kwame Kwei-Armah and Jimmy Akambola and John Boyega, and I had 3 roles to play. And one was an asylum seeker, one was a guy that was in prison, and one was like this studious intellectual kid. And we do that in a week show, we'd do like all those 3 different things. And I could start to feel the shifts in my personality based on, and any of them actors that were working with me at the time, they'll tell you like, if Amel's in that place, he's there, like, they used to laugh about it a bit. But when I go on stage, I'm quite explosive. I want to put myself in a situation where we're talking, I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. That's the kind of electricity that I'm after as a performer, because in life, we have no idea what's gonna happen next, right? Boom! That's from training.
So you're really embodying the character.
Yeah.
And then how do you get out of the character? How do you find yourself coming out? Like when the job's done and you've finished?
That's what I'm saying. I really tried to fathom the question, and Amel that went into, excuse the third person, but me, the Amel that went into Trife and finishing that role, it's a different person, I'm a Pan-African, at-home, cultured stage school kid. After I do kidulthood, I know the streets a bit more, and it's on you. You know what I mean? And then like, I remember very distinctly when I did Yardi, for example, I stayed in the accent for 3 months.
Oh wow!
And you start to think in that accent. You start to dream with those voices, and when that happens, there's a shift happening. You know what I'm saying? I more talk patois much more now. I go back and forth a lot more if I'm joking or something like that. Something like that. We can just start the thing. I couldn't talk patois at all before I started the RD. When I say at all, when you're gonna do that dodgy Jamaican accent, and everyone's like, no, don't do it. Like I couldn't talk patois at all, and now it's part of me. Like it's a part of who I am. I never used to wear my beard for the man that have beards. My goatee. Don't even try it. No, I can't wear the beard thing still. But I never used to wear it that long. This is a part of D that remains the character in Yardi. So I feel like, I haven't yet learnt to. It fades, but remains. It's like memories, Memories don't live like people do. You know them,
No, that's right. So I guess that from the different characters you play, you keep a part of those characters with you.
Yeah, you do. You end up like even MLK. Like one of the greatest things I learned about playing Martin Luther King is his ability to be utterly present. Utterly present. So he would do this thing where he'd be talking to you, but he's here with you. And that's why it takes a long time to speak between sentences. He's like, he talks and then he'll consider, and it's so engaging, right? It feels totally different. With me, my mind goes, but and so the way I found my way into playing MLK was like to really understand what he meant by when he says, you know, don't judge somebody by the color of the skin, but the contents of the character. And I was like, oh, what does that mean then? Don't judge. Oh, delayed judgment. It means completely being present in this moment with someone, taking the time, taking them in. And I feel the difference. It's a sense of nirvana. Do you feel the difference?
Yeah, and it feels more still.
Yeah. So I pull on all these different parts. I don't really call them characters. I call these things parts, because you have the part of you as a daughter, as a wife, as a sister, as a friend. We've all got these many different parts, so that are the functions of what we'd call ourselves. So
I like how you said wife. I'm not a wife yet, but thank you.
Go on with your thing, man. You know what I mean? But you know, do you get what I'm saying? Like we all have these different parts. So yeah, I don't know, and it's something I'm pondering on. The longest time that I've not acted was last year, because we had a strike in America, and so I didn't act for a year. That's the longest time I've not acted since I was a child.
And what was that like mentally?
Do you know what? It was really strange, because I'm used to working a lot, and so you know, last year was a trying year anyway, but I'm used to working so much that it felt strange to me. But I think because my life has become so much more of a producer's life, a writer, director, producer's life, because it's become a lot of that, my time is filled up with much more of that than actually like being on, like I'm doing a movie in May, and I've got to clear my calendar as a filmmaker going, all right, you know, to my producing partners, Bruce, Matthew, we need to get this done, and then I need to maneuver out so I can focus on acting. Because again, the roles I play in my career, none of them are light work. Okay. That's not the lightest thing I've ever done is probably I May Destroy You, when I was just having a knees up, pretending I was Leonardo DiCaprio in Wolf of Wall Street, and Boxing Day. But other than that, the work that I'm offered often requires me to like be, you know, something of gravitas. Yeah. So I don't know the answer to that question. I'm working it out. I probably would say, you know, being in environments that just settle you down. I think being in a grounded situation with friends and people you love, you know. So yeah.
Have you ever struggled with your mental health?
Absolutely. But only last year. I've been Superman my entire life until now, and then Krypton came.
So what happened?
None of your business.
Look at it. No, this is what we want to hear.
Yeah. Well,
without going into too much detail.
Yeah. Everyone started dying. You know, everyone started dying. Life started dying around me. And I've not really had to deal with death in my life. And when I have dealt with it, I had a friend that died many years ago, and I realized it didn't register. But yeah, and also, you know, I'm a man of great specificity. So when you like, have you ever had to deal with mental health? It's like, what does that actually mean? Like, let's open that up. What does that mean to you when you say mental health?
So have you struggled with any mental health difficulties, such as depression, anxiety?
Yeah. I think we oscillate between those states anyway. Depression, I had depression once in my life for like 48 hours. Okay. And I never had it again until last year. So I've not, it's either I've got sort of brain that something happens and I'm like, let's move forward. Do you get what I'm saying? But last year with the many deaths that I experienced, and, you know, seeing that life is so fragile, things can shift in a moment. And as a person that's naturally a person that controls my environment very well, or prepares myself very well for certain things, yeah, last year was really challenging. And even up till a couple of weeks ago, my cousin passed away. No. So it's just that time in my life where there's a succession of things, and you know, I think you have to figure out what version of it, how you're going to deal with it. I've always thrown myself into work as a person, but I think now, I'm more willing to go through the mourning stages of okay, this person is gone. They're not coming back. I don't know how to. You can't rewind time. And then do you know what I'd say as well? Death helps you realize who is true for you in your life and who's not. Like who is really your rocks. And I think that and getting older does those two things really, really help. Anxiety. There was something you said anxiety, and you said imposter syndrome. One of your questions, and I'm like, no, anxiety. Yeah, you know, I think that anxiety when you're about to go on stage or you're about to perform or you're about to. I've always dealt with anxiety as a person, like just like jump towards it. I remember being a youth man or a younger person, and like seeing a beautiful girl on the bus. I remember one particular girl was like 16, 17, and I was like, what am I gonna say? What am I gonna say? Oh my God, I wanna make sure I'm impressed. And, you know, and I loathe that feeling of like, my world is going to be controlled by myself within, whether or not I can have the ability to leap into a situation. And so I have always challenged myself from a very early age. And obviously as a kid, going to auditions and all that, you have to go, hi, going into the room, you know what I mean? So I've always challenged myself. And actually, you know, I think for a lot of men and younger boys, talking to a woman or a girl, respectively, is one of the greatest challenges of having to overcome that hurdle of what you're going to say, what are they going to think. I want to make a good impression, and I'm so studious in that now because I've just practiced my entire life, and I loathed that feeling of just not being, you know, wanting to be cool, and actually being cool is actually just being cool within. You know what I mean? So yeah.
What do you do in your downtime? What do you do to relax?
I answered this, but I don't know how honest you want the answers.
I want it honest.
What do I do to relax? I think I answered this by saying like before, I don't think I do relax very often.
Okay.
You know, I'm a go kind of person. You know, I enjoy a massage. You know what I mean? I love laughing. You know, I'm an idiot most of the time with my brethrens. I love laughing. You know, yeah, I naturally love music. I'm a big music person. You know.
What's your favourite genre of music?
Eclectic. If I was going to put it on right now, we'd go from everything from like, we could go Teddy Pendergrass, we could go to like Pavarotti, we can go to like, it is so eclectic, my taste, man.
That's good.
Marvin Gaye, all them shit. You know, as well, I think one of the things that relaxes me most is when I have the love of an amazing woman, because you're locked into a situation and a vibration where you're just, you know, especially if she's an amazing woman, you end up succumbing to her and actually allowing, especially someone like me, I'm a leader in most of my life, so allowing myself to be led by a woman's interests or her mind. I'm fascinated with people's minds anyway, how people got to their conclusions. So to me, you know, when I'm in love with a beautiful woman, that's something that really drives me and makes me feel alive, and it makes me feel at peace, home, to find that home within a relationship. So, you know, I would say that those are some of the times I feel most like relaxed, you know.
That's lovely.
Yeah, being in love and being like in union. And again, someone with my personality, I really love women that have like this broad imagination of like, I want to do this, and adventurous spirit, because my adventures are in a particular lane, you know, as a filmmaker, as a storyteller. And so I love, you know, a woman that gives me, you know, that kind of vivacity in life to go explore her world, you know what I mean? So that's another time I feel very relaxed and at peace, and I'm doing something that's not about the work, you know? Because like most of the things I do is about the work.
Yeah.
About not just work, about the work, because my work is my heart, it's my passion, it's my life, it's my life force. But if I'm saying what deviates me from that, and actually is the source of inspiration for me many of the times, you know, a lot of my movies that I write about, they're different genres, but they are essentially about love, you know, between a man and a woman. Boxing Day is a romantic comedy, but it's about love at different stages of your life. You know, love with Shay Cole's character when at first love, and he's I'm in love with this girl, and infatuation. You know, love at more my stage of life where it's like, okay, you're gonna take that leap into marriage and children and family. Love when it hasn't worked out, and you're starting again. Like, you know, the mother character Shirley. You know, we've got a couple of movies at my company that we're doing next, and one's like a horror thriller, but at the core of it is a relationship that they're trying to figure out. I've got a kind of crime saga set in the 50s, 70s in 2025, kind of like a Pulp Fiction style film. And again, at the cornerstone of it are these relationships and how they have defined or shaped the destiny of a particular man. You know what I mean? So
I love that.
that's a cornerstone of what I do. Yeah.
Looking back at your career, can you identify a turning point that may have shaped your life today?
Turning point in my career. I think there's consistent turning points. Kidulthood was massive for me. You know, that was like the launching pad into the world of like fame and notoriety, and you know, navigating that. And I'm really proud of my young self actually for not getting too caught up, for the ambition I had to be, you know, even greater. That served me so well. Served me so well to have dreamed really big. Because sometimes, like when life's a surprise to you, you can have a great time with it, but you can also indulge so much in the moment that you don't plan for the next, because each moment will pass, you know? So I'm very proud of my younger self for that, because I was one of the first of our generation, my generation, so like 38 and below, to have been established in the UK and then get a job in America in a TV series. And I feel like a lot of people have said over the years that has served as an inspiration for a lot of the actors, peers, but also those coming up, you know, behind us, you know, to go, yeah, we can do this. As the elders served me as well. Repeat your question again. Just the last bit of it. Go on. You can do it. There's a particular word that I like in that.
Within your career,
Yeah.
looking back at your career,
Yeah.
has there been
Significant moments, yeah.
has there been anything that's
Shaped me, yes. So, yes, the moments like kidulthood, the moments like going to America for the first time, the moments like now, you know, playing Martin Luther King is such a massive thing for me in my career, and to have done it successfully in a movie that is like Oscar nominated, and you know, that's a powerful moment for me in my career, and to be so celebrated for it, like the American audience by large and peers, and you know people that were once idols, they love it. I was with Sam Jackson. He was like, "Hey, motherfucker, you did a great job on this thing." You know what I mean? And you're like, "Whoa!" I'm with Barack Obama, and you know, he's like, "Mel, great job, man. You did a fine job with King." You're like, I'm like, "Yo, it's Barack. It's you.
Yeah.
It's President Obama." You know, so you know, these things shape you, and you're realizing those dreams in real time. Massively for me was Boxing Day.
Yeah.
You know, taking destiny into my own hands, and you know, doing something I've always wanted to do, or you know, I've been doing peripherally, is being a writer director. Shout out to the man that knows Drink Drugs and KFC. That was there. That was my first short film, by the way.
I want to ask you, how do you manage being in the spotlight? You've got such a successful career,
Yeah.
and you know, you keep achieving heights from heights, and as well as you being successful in the UK, you're also successful in LA. How do you manage that feeling of, you know, being in the public eye, and you know, people's opinions of you?
That's a good question. She's like, thank you. How do I manage being in the public eye and people's opinions? That's two separate things. Public eye. I tend to focus on the work, you know what I mean? I'm not really a celebrity like that, you know? I am to some people, but I've not done the celebrity thing. I'm more focused on my work. I think where it becomes a problem sometimes, I feel like, you know, in my relationship life, it's been problematic at times, because you want to be more celebratory of like your relationship publicly, it's that we're in that era, isn't it? You know, or you know, your partner may feel like, yo, I'm not able to be as free with her side of the relationship as she wants to be because she's cautious. And you know, if you're a person that has, you know, been involved with someone like that does what you do, like an actress or a singer or anything like that, again, you know, it's so precious when you're in a relationship and you fall in love. You don't want, you know, it's already we're in the social media era. You don't want outside influences on your thing. You want to make sure your thing is solid. And I can be an extremely private person when it comes to that. I'm very protective of a woman I love or my family in general. I'm that way inclined. And so that's difficult because you try and navigate and you don't feel as free sometimes to just do what you're doing, like any and everywhere. But yeah, I think outside of that, it's love, man. I get so much. By and large, people respect me, you know, and I think I've earned the respect of a lot of the audience that know me. You know, some people are gonna think you're amazing, some people are gonna think you're shit, but people, by and large, respect me. That's been my experience. Situations like peers and stuff like that, you know, I'm away a lot. I'm not in the UK a lot, you know, so I think sometimes people can have this idea of like, you know, what you're not around, you don't know. So when I come back home and I'm you know, with my peers and, you know, like last night at the BAFTA pre-party, and it's an amazing feeling, and it's an amazing feeling to reintroduce myself as I am today, you know, because people telling stories about you back in the day, they don't know you, you know what I mean? It's like, that's a decade-old story. So yeah, so for me, I just try and stay in the moment with that stuff, and you know, but acting has been the greatest gift to my life. You know, I've literally traveled the world. You know, I've made millions of dollars. I've met some of my best friends and my family. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, if I was to roll out tomorrow, I've had a good life. You know, I want so much more for my life. I want so much more for my career. I definitely want to be in a position of influence to help amplify and help. That's a massive reason why I'm here. I saw Femi's interview, and then serendipitously, I was like, oh, this lady contacted me in the DMs. I wasn't in the place last year to do it, but I was like, I want to do this for her, and you know, and give her something like really a piece of me, so that lives on in this. And you know, I see the people you have coming in and that. So it's great. You know, I'm very proud and happy for you in that way.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate you giving me a piece of you for my interviews.
Absolutely.
What can we expect from you in the future? What's coming up?
Well, if God blesses me with life, you've always got to say that.
Amen.
Yeah. In the future, I think for me, you know, career-wise, if honestly, when I say if God blesses with life, I'm not naturally a Christian or a Muslim, or I don't have a religion.
Okay.
I didn't grow up with a religion, but I think that the impact of last year, 2023, and experiencing so much death, like a friend of mine, Charles, fantastic director, died, 49, lung collapse. Cousin, 30, died, poisoning, you know, random poisoning. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, you know, Uncle Vincent, long life, beautiful life, passed away. I've seen so much transition in 1 year that I'm really respectful of the fragility of life. But so if God permits me time, you know, or whatever that thing is, that is the engine of our life. You know what I mean? So I just want to help people as much as possible. I want to give opportunities for people to fulfill their dreams, and I want to fulfill mine. You know what I mean? I've got, as well as someone might think I'm doing, I'm always like, fuck, I'm behind, man. Come on, Mel, man, shit.
Like that. It always feels like the beginning when you kind of...
Yeah, like, and I'm wildly ambitious, you know? I came here to live enormous. You know, there's that Jay-Z line, I'd rather die enormous than live dormant. Like, I truly feel that way. Like, I truly feel that I want to, like, truly be the best of what I can be, and then give my heart and soul to the world before I exit, and you know, hopefully have a couple of kids. I mean, I have no kids yet still. You know, so anybody out there, I'm 38 years old. What's that? Dating out 38 years old. You know, unmarried, and you know, good credit score. That's dangerous to say. Still, you know, I see man never get in trouble for them. I was about to say it as well.
Was she?
Yeah, I was about to say it. You know,
okay, we don't need to get you in trouble.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do
Edit that bit out.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming. As I said, I appreciate you giving me a token of yourself.
Yes.
And
more success to you.
Amen.
This is going to rise and rise and rise. Trust me.
Thank you so much.
Blessings. See you down the road.
Yay.
Bye-bye.
Oh, that was